All right, happy Friday. Happy Friday. I'm recording this on Friday night. It's pretty late. It's actually like 10:30. But it's still Friday, so absolutely happy Friday to all of you. And hope your week was awesome. Mine was good. I had a decent week. It was definitely busy work week. I tell you what. We're working on a whole lot of controls and data movement crap and whatever. But hey, I haven't gotten laid off or fired yet, so I'm still working. All right, so I'm going to talk about Artemis II tonight because find out what your thoughts were, what my thoughts were. It's been a week. What's going on since then, right? Cheers, happy Friday. All right. Yeah, I'm going to pretty much focus on Artemis 2, but I do have a couple updates. So what? My last recording I did about aliens, right? Remember I talked about some of the I don't know, Senate hearings or whatever. People, anyways, they're being interviewed, and a couple of few are being more open about what it is that they are being briefed on. So, anyways, so there was a video with Tulsi Gabbard. Okay, and I don't care if you're a fan or not, like whatever. I saw this came out in a feed, probably because aliens, and you know that's what it does. So here, I'm gonna play this is
My husband is in the corner for the record, pumping his fist right now that you're asking this question.
So, I mean, is there anything we've had some declassification of some very strange videos that look like they are, unidentified flying objects? Is there anything in the files that you think you could find or you have found?
Nothing that I'm prepared to talk about today.
Ooh. So watch this space.
isn't that interesting? I love it. And that was I think it was Pod Force One. I think that's who the podcast is. I guess I saw it, and so I just kind of went with it. And yeah, it was. I didn't really listen to a whole lot of the interview, but I did catch that clip, and there you go. It was pretty awesome. So there you go, more alien stuff. I'm just saying. Listen, when does it stop becoming a conspiracy theory? Okay, when do you start believing that it maybe aliens are real? Are they aliens? Are they spiritual beings from another realm? Whatever the case may be, like, are we at least in agreement that there is something out there? There's something non-human that we're definitely much more. We're being brought up to speed now a lot more than we ever have been. So keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, and the truth is out there. X-Files, right? So I got to tell you this, a little AI update. So when I was looking up a YouTube clip, because I don't think I'm going to play another YouTube clip or whatever, on my first episode, I played the AI Bible trailer, it was, I think. And it came up again tonight when I opened YouTube. And man, that trailer, it gets me. Every time I see it, I'm like, oh man, that's powerful. It just, a lot of the stories in the Bible, it's really cool. I like that trailer. It's really neat. So yeah, there's my AI update. Now let me see what else I have going on here. All right. Yeah, AI. I have a lot on AI I want to talk about. I'm going to do an actual AI on things I'm seeing, on things I know, things I've experienced, like I've worked with, things like that. So maybe that'll be my next one. We'll see. Also, data centers. Thoughts on data centers, right? Good grief. Data centers are going up all over the place. So I'm going to talk about data centers too a little bit. Not tonight, though. All right, so let's go to Artemis 2. Artemis 2. And I will tell you what, I took a lot of notes. I took notes, and because I'm a dork that way, I guess. So, whatever. I just thought it was interesting. For whatever reason, probably because I've always been fascinated with space and astronauts going into outer space, and the chance that one day I may go into space, which I'm probably way too old now. But anyways, when I was a kid, and all the pipe dreams and everything, you're like, man, it would just be so cool to travel in outer space. I was a big science dork, or not a science dork, but sci-fi dork. And Star Wars, Star Trek. I really enjoyed them. So, anyways, I was like the idea. I saw the Challenger explode. That was a rough one. I was alive and I watched that. I watched it live. Watched it happen live. That was a rough one. And the Columbia, I think, was the other one. But I'll tell you this. For what maybe it's because it was going back to the moon. Maybe that's why it caught my attention so much. Like, we have the International Space Station, and you hear about being resupplied. The two astronauts were stuck out there, and I didn't talk about that because they were already back before I even started my podcast, almost a year ago, by the way. So for whatever reason, the Artemis II mission really got to me. I thought it was just a really neat thing. So, and here's the thing. I'm going to go with the assumption. Well, my first part I'm going to talk about is the assumption that we actually, the 4 astronauts were on board the Orion, and they made it in outer space, and they made it around the moon, and they came back. Okay. Maybe we'll talk about some of the conspiracy theories that, did they really? Maybe. Let's see how this unfolds. All right. So they took off, what was it, on April 1st? Yeah, it was April 1st. And I posted 1 or 2 things about it. But so here's some of the notes I took. And I'm sorry if you think this is boring, but hey, I think it's awesome. And, man, sci-fi coming to reality. How cool, right? All right, so 700,000 gallons of liquid propellant. And if I wrote this down right, 4 liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen engines, that's what powered the central stage going way up, all the way up to the in outer space, essentially, before they drop off. Okay. Sorry. See, I told you I took notes. All right. So at 3 miles up, they were traveling 1,200 miles per hour. They went up, then they continued up to more than 2,600 miles an hour, or miles per hour, 5,000 miles per hour. And then as I saw it, well, it crossed the boundary to space at 3 minutes and 50 seconds. What I don't remember is if that's when it was its fastest. I think that I saw it's going its fastest, like when I stopped tracking it. It was just over 8,500 miles per hour. So I don't know what the G's felt like going up, but man, you got to think, what is that, like Mach 5 or something? That's got to be fast. Man, maybe faster. I don't know. I don't know how fast that it goes up like that. I probably should have looked that up. That would have been neat. So one of the things I wrote down, I wonder if they're cloud seeding on the way up. I don't know. Smart ass question, right? The other thing I thought was really cool is I watched it, I think, all the way up until I paid attention. I think I was following the news updates until the solar rays were in the Orion. Essentially, they deployed when the solar ray shields or whatever, they were deployed, and so they basically kind of hung out there. And from my understanding, that's what they got a lot of their power from, was the solar shields, the solar panels, we'll call them that. So yeah, got power from the sun. They powered up and did their mission. I know they used AI a lot. AI essentially flew the Orion basically the whole time. If I understood right, on the 4th day they did a course correction. I think it was a routine check, if I remember correctly. And then they were scheduled to do another course correction on the way back. I don't know if they did or not. So that's what I wrote on the takeoff. And yeah, a couple things I thought were really cool. So the crew took manual control of the Orion, yep, that's what I was talking about, and did a series of maneuvers that were meant to simulate docking with other spacecrafts. So essentially, I think the main, hold on, I wrote this down somewhere. Where did I write it down? The mission, like the purpose of this. I thought it was pretty funny. The mission that paved the way for long-term human presence on the moon. So that's pretty cool. Like, listen, if everything they did in they were actually on board and they went around the moon and they did this mission. You got to think it's a pretty impactful mission because they really are setting the stage for a lot of the next missions that come after this. It's a very important mission to say, hey, we can do this successfully. We can do this successfully. It's like, your building blocks that you're doing it to go on the moon. And I don't know, didn't every sci-fi nerd ever that enjoyed those movies always think, wow, how cool would it be to, visit or live somewhere that wasn't on Earth? Like there could be life outside of Earth. So pretty neat, in my opinion. I think it's awesome. All right. So it orbited Earth for about 1.5 days before going to the moon. And then it reached the moon's gravitational sphere on April 6th. Flew on the far side of the moon, about 4,067 miles to the moon's surface. For that, and then the furthest distance from Earth was 406,771 kilometers, or 252,756 miles from the Earth. Last was Apollo 13, by the way, which you all probably know, or a lot of you do. In 1970, that was the furthest away, and they were at 401,771 kilometers, or 248,655 miles. They flew back to Earth and got splashed down shortly after 5 o'clock, and that's Arizona time because I watched it live, even though we had that 6-minute blackout. I did watch it live, and there were, if I read this right, there were a series of parachutes to slow down descent to about 20 miles per hour. So you all saw the 3 big ones. That was, of course, the big ones that slowed it down the most. And then the splashdown happened. So that's what I wrote down. Overall, I thought it was pretty cool. Oh, yeah, here's some interesting things because this is what I'm going to go into next. All right. So Orion, and this is from NASA.gov, okay? So this is where I'm getting this information. Orion is carrying 32 cameras and devices, including any instrument including any instrument with a lens capable of capturing photos or videos inside or on the exterior of the vehicle. Okay, 32 cameras. All right. So let me share this because I think this is pretty neat. This is from NASA.gov. Oh, sorry about that. There's my share screen. Again, I'm my own producer, so that's always pretty fun. Okay, sorry about the delay there. No, wrong one. Sorry about that. Let me do that one more time. My small technical difficulty. All right, here we go. Okay. So this was from our flight day 8. So this is while they were up, doing their thing. So this is taken from, assuming, one of those 32 cameras. Not that one, of course. That's their re-entry. That's what splashdown was. So let's go to day 1. Sorry for the scrolling if you're actually looking. Well, it didn't work anyways. But yeah, these are some of the pictures that they took from inside while they were, out doing their stuff. There's a picture of the solar rays I was talking about. I thought, or the solar panels. I thought that's pretty neat. And they did their course correction burn. Oh, on day 5. There you go. Not day 4. I was wrong on that. So yeah, I mean, the pictures are really neat. Like if you go through them, they're really legit. And reading the mission, the kind of the summaries, if you will, each day of the mission summaries, it was really neat. It was really cool to see what they did. Again, a lot of it was just testing to prepare for what's to come. And it's a very important mission. So a big congratulations, I will say, like just watching the whole thing, watching them come down, and the, story coming to completion like that, it was really cool. It was absolutely, what you hope for, nothing to go So yeah, congrats to the Artemis II crew. Congrats to the whole everybody that was involved on that. I thought it was what awesome projects to be part of, you know. So I will also tell you, don't sell yourself short at your own job. I'm sure you have a lot of things that are maybe not quite as equally as important, but really awesome. So, give yourself some credit for what you're doing in your life. Now let's get to the other side. All right. And, it's always fun to say, what's the conspiracy theory? What happens? So here's some questions. All right. The last one to go to the moon, and they were planned to land on the moon, was Apollo 13, right? Apollo 11, they landed on the moon, supposedly. And there's a lot of people that they believe, either they did or they didn't. And I have a hard time saying, yep, I'm sure they landed on the moon. Because my question then is, why haven't they gone back since 70 or whatever it was when Apollo 13 happened? Why didn't they go back? Like, what's preventing them from saying, hey, you know what? Let's pony up the money. Let's pony up whatever we need to do, and let's get to the moon. I don't know. It seems like something we probably would have done and should have done. But regardless, they waited this long. And I will tell you, I certainly want to believe that all 4 astronauts were on Artemis II. And clearly I wasn't there. And my next question. So, okay. No, yeah, I'll start with the ascent. So going up during the launch. And I asked this last time and nobody gave me any feedback. But why are there no internal videos, anything of during the launch in the pod, like of the astronauts? Is that something we're not allowed to see? Is public? That's too much information. We can't watch that. We can't handle it. Like why do you never see those videos? Where are those videos of the astronauts just shaking all around or whatever during the takeoff? I would like to watch it. I think it would be neat to see what does an astronaut truly deal with during the launch. Doesn't that sound pretty cool? I think it sounds pretty freaking awesome myself. I want to see it. Let's see that video. Or you're going to say, oh, well, because here you go. I did a search on this. I actually did a search. All right. No, there's no video blackout during the launch of the Orion capsule. However, there's a planned communication blackout during re-entry when the spacecraft encounters Earth's atmosphere. Okay, so essentially what happens is, if I understood correctly, is it forms like a plasma bubble around the Orion spacecraft as it comes in because it's going so fast. It's like over 24,000 or 25,000 miles, something like that. And the friction of the atmosphere, the heat, and it just like builds up into a plasma bubble. So, okay, I'll go with it. I have nothing that'll tell me it doesn't do that. It certainly sounds plausible. Again, I have the same question. Does that prevent the video inside of the Orion pod from recording? Can you not see the space crew coming down in the shuttle, shaking all around? Where's that video? I want to see that video. Am I the only one here that's like, hey, can we see that? So yeah, you know what? I'm pretty passionate about this. So show us the videos. I'd like to see it. If you can, that's my request. If NASA ever listens to this, and or if they ever allow me to interview somebody from there, that's going to be my question. And if they don't want to answer it, that's fine. But I will absolutely ask those questions. So otherwise, what's the point of interviewing somebody from there if you can't ask those fun questions? All right. So Artemis II. Okay, here's the other thing. Sorry, before I move on. I did see somebody sent me a video of, and, I can't tell you, is it real? Is it AI? Is it a practice run? Essentially, one of those big, I don't know if they're called like DC-10s or whatever, but that comes to mind. But the big military planes, and it like where they dropped a big cargo with the big parachutes, and it looked like it dropped the Orion with big parachutes coming off, and landing at the same time, as splashdown. So can I tell you that that's what happened during the 6-minute blackout? No, I can't tell you that happened. I also can't tell you it didn't happen. So I thought that was a pretty neat conspiracy. It was like, it's possible. But at the same time, I would also imagine during their testing of the Orion capsule, they're not just going to send this thing blindly out there and hope that everything works. Maybe that was taken from a test run. I don't know. That's what I hope, and that's what I think. And that's because I really do want to believe like the astronauts were in there. Because there is a guy I follow on Instagram, and I should have searched him and had it ready. But he was actually tracking. He has these very nice telescopes, and he has several different postings where he talks about the telescopes, the types that they are. So I think this guy's legitimate. And so he was actually tracking Orion during its travel, and you can actually see a little tiny white dot flying through essentially space. And it was really neat. And then I actually also saw he got a good picture. If I think that was his site as well, or his Instagram as well. But he got a really good picture of the Atlas III comet. So I thought that was really cool. So, yep, there's that. All right, so Artemis II. All right, been talking for 21 minutes. I'm just going to hit on a couple quick things I saw this week, and just to throw it out there. I do have a couple guests coming up soon, but I also like doing this. I'm going to keep doing some of this. I'm going to talk about data centers coming up. I'm going to talk about AI. Hey, AI, it's important, So I'm also going to talk relationships again. I have some more stuff to say on that. So whatever comes to mind. I'll also I think I dropped a sandwich review today about Firehouse subs. I tried one of their Firehouse Hero, I think it was. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was a good sandwich overall. I think I gave it a 5 or 5.5 during my review. But yeah, shout out Firehouse. I still always like their sandwiches. They do a good job. So, all right. So the girl that she had the energy drinks, and I probably should have looked up the news story, but she had the energy drinks, the high school girl. And she ended up, I don't know if she had a heart attack or something, but it ended up impacting her in a negative way, I think, because of the amount that she was consuming on a regular basis. I think maybe it caught up with her. So anyways, definitely a sad story. You gotta watch that. And I drink energy drinks. Not a lot. I may drink 3 a week, I think, is what maybe 4. But I only drink when I don't drink any other caffeine during the day. And I basically, I open it in the morning and it lasts me pretty much till the afternoon, like a good ways into the afternoon. So I don't drink it fast by any means. And I will say, I'm not saying anything wrong about energy drinks, clearly, since I do drink them. So, if you use it responsibly, I certainly think it can help with some of your focus and clarity sometimes. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've noticed a difference. So maybe that's what I'm saying is just, if you're going to drink them, do it responsibly. Don't overdo it. Everything in moderation. Or if you're going to do something like that, do it in moderation. Maybe that's how it should be said. So yeah. The Reese's peanut butter, or no, not Reese's, the Kit Kats that were stolen. Yeah, that was, that's a sad, I can't remember how many tons it was, like 2 tons or 10 tons or something like that. Like, who needs that many Kit Kats? That's a little ridiculous. Just saying. It's pretty funny though. All right. Well, hey, tune in. Got more coming, and appreciate it. Again, happy Friday.